So, Kiplin, what would you say to the person who listens to this and says, yeah, this is all good for other people, or for those who feel like they're progressing on the covenant path, but perhaps some of you or loved ones that you have may not feel like they're moving forward. They may not even know where the covenant path is at this point in their life, and they're seeking for help, or they're seeking for answers, and they don't feel like they're getting them, or perhaps they feel like the church isn't doing exactly what they want it to be doing. What would you say?
Well, there's a lot of struggle and wrestle right now in the world with a whole variety of things, and there's some hard questions being asked and answers being sought. I love verse 4. I mean, at first you might read it and be like, oh, murmur not. Well, it's going to be a rebuke, and let's skip over that one, go to the next. But really, this is one of my favorites, because it's simply a gentle reminder from the Savior to Emma and to me and to all of us to trust. Murmur not because of the things which thou hast not seen, for they are withheld from thee and from the world, which is wisdom in me in a time to come. Are there things in our lives that we feel maybe are withheld from us? Are there blessings that maybe have been delayed, or prayers that don't seem to be being answered for us? I think that all of us have experienced maybe some version or some range of those kinds of feelings. And the Lord is reminding us to trust him. He says, wisdom in me, and he says, in a time to come. Those two phrases for me stick out here, because the wisdom in me part is a reminder to me of this. He's reestablishing his identity again to Emma here, and to me, and to all of us. He's saying, I am your God. I am all-knowing. I know things. I see things. I'm all-seeing. And in that perfect knowledge, he has wisdom that we cannot understand as mortals. We cannot comprehend all things. And then he talks about timing, in a time to come. This is where this comes in again. Trust that the Lord he will reveal things. He will give things. He will grant blessings. He will do these things in that covenant relationship when it is wisdom in him. When the perfect God, your perfect God, my perfect God, sees that it is the wise and right time for these things. And so it really just comes down to this. Do we trust him? Can we trust him? And if we have a hard time with that, can we work on trusting him? He loves effort. Our prophet, who I love, said that the Lord loves effort. If we can even just try to trust him when these difficult things are in our path.
So now in verse 9, we reintroduce, or we revisit this idea of just trust me. Keep in mind, Emma had some questions leading into this section about her physical well-being. How are we going to pay the bills? Are we going to survive financially? And God tells her, thou needest not fear, for thy husband shall support thee in the church. And God makes them some promises that as Joseph fulfills the calling that is given to him, and Emma fulfills her role in all of these things side by side with him, that the Lord will provide in various ways for all of those concerns that they have, financially and temporally.
That's really comforting. It tells me that the Lord is not only concerned with our spiritual welfare, but also he's very involved in the physical and temporal aspects of our mortal journey. Yeah. He cares about them, and he helps us with those too.
It's beautiful.
So, yeah.
Which then leads into verse 10. Verily I say unto thee that thou shalt lay aside the things of this world and seek for the things of a better. It's that idea of, once again, the most important things in life are those that are the most eternal, that last the longest. And here's the Lord inviting her to put her focus and her attention not on the things of the world, but on the things of a better world than this.
I had a little thought about the phrase, "Thou needest not fear."
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, from my own experience, here's my heart, okay? And forgive my drawing here. This is a shovel. When there are things that I need to root out of my life, dig them up, so to speak. So here we go. Fear, all right? And here it is, all piled up on the side here. Oftentimes, if I just try to take the bad out and I leave a void there, oftentimes this stuff will come spilling back in. Or other things. We have an adversary out there who loves to fill those voids with things. But if I'm conscientious about saying, okay, I'm trying to take this out, and of course when I say I don't really mean I mean Jesus Christ.
We,
okay. When we take this out, for me, I'm going to write fear here, okay? The opposite of fear, and I think most of us have experienced that in one realm or another, in one genre of issues or another, this fear. This is the filler for that hole. And I found that this works every time to fill that void and to keep other bad things out. And so when I replace the fear with, you can call it faith as well, with trust in Jesus Christ, trust in God, this becomes fertile soil, the trust. The fear is gone and the trust is there. And now things can grow and things can take root.
Notice the very first word of verse 13, wherefore. It sets up this causal relationship between what came before and now what comes after the word wherefore. Because of everything that we've read here in verse 12, the outcome, the conclusion that the Lord is making for us is, lift up thy heart and rejoice and cleave unto the covenants which thou hast made. I love that, how he's making this connection between the song of the righteous being a prayer unto me and lifting up our heart and rejoicing and holding on tightly to those covenants which we've made with him.
I loved the connection with covenants and rejoicing in here, knowing a little bit about what Emma's going to go through and what she has been through. Life is not going to be easy for these early saints, and life is not always easy for us. But the message here from the Lord is, lift up your heads and rejoice. This kind of rejoicing doesn't mean we're just happy all the time and everything's always wonderful. This kind of rejoicing is, for me, it's more of a foundational undercurrent in our lives. And we can be sad. We can be really sad sometimes. And yet that foundation of just supportive, uplifting, enduring joy is there because of Jesus Christ and our covenants with him and the hope that that brings into our times of struggle and trial. So I love the connection between the rejoicing and the covenants, and hold on to those.
So now as we skip down to verse 15, he says, keep my commandments continually, and a crown of righteousness thou shalt receive. I love that idea of back to the covenant. Again, if you love me, keep my commandments, comes through here. And if you do, I will give you a crown of righteousness. The promise is very sure here. You will receive that crown of righteousness in the eternities that won't fade like so many of the things on this earth do.